Hello, this is Brendan Acebo, Associate at Large of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Because of the intensity of a few scenes in today's episode, we don't recommend it for children under 8 years old. And as always, we hope that parents and kids are listening together as a family. I hope you enjoy today's program.
And now, the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Mitch is alive!
Yeah, he is. This is more important than any kind of intro. We could be two different people and you wouldn't know, but Mitch is alive and that's all that matters.
I'm Dylan Weaver.
I'm Andrew Acebo.
And, Mitch is alive.
Mitch is alive. Mitch is alive. Mitch is alive. Mitch is alive.
He is risen indeed. Hallelujah.
Yeah, just in time for Easter. He's back.
We're discussing episode 495, The Unraveling.
Otherwise known as Mitch is alive.
Right. Unraveling, the thing that Andrew and I have been doing this whole series.
Exactly. Slowly but surely unspooling.
Yeah. Falling apart. We start off with a parental warning.
Yes, we do. Because of...
Murder?
Presumably just the voicemail.
Yeah. The voicemail, which is haunting.
Horrifying. Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
I'm glad that you used the word haunting because that's what I used in my notes.
Yeah. And also I think the fact that the word murder is thrown around a couple times is probably enough to push it over the age 8 limit.
So be careful if you're under the age of 8 and listening to us talk about this episode, just so you know.
Yeah, don't listen to our podcast if you're that young.
Please. Yeah, probably a bad idea.
So,
we open the episode? Oh, wait.
You know what? You want to do the promo?
Yeah, let's do the promo.
Let's do the promo. Give us some volume.
On the next Adventures in Odyssey, cool heads prevail.
Even when there's an unraveling?
Especially. And when you tune in, you'll find out how the furious pace that Novacom unleashes affects our friends in Odyssey. It's next on Adventures in Odyssey.
Oh my gosh! There's so much there. The music, it is like, what was that, 10 seconds of outro?
I think half of that promo is the backing track.
Yes. Yes.
There's basically nothing said.
Yes.
And what is that voice?
Yeah, what is the presumably slime demon?
Oh, I was thinking it sounded like a cartoon mouse.
Yeah. Oh my god.
The Unraveling?
But like, I don't think it'd be a mouse. That'd be like cuter. It'd be like a rat. Like,
yeah, probably.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I just. What? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And like this oddly mischievous like. Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar music that's like going in the background.
We've had a lot of weird ones. Let's not undersell that.
Oh, yeah.
But this might be the weirdest.
It's top 3, easy. I mean, I have to listen to them all back to back to make a definitive ranking. But wow.
Yeah.
What is this random voice?
Well, like this second half of battle lines has gotten increasingly weird.
Yeah, they're unraveling. That's really what's happening here.
Amen to that.
They're breaking themselves, and we're just watching it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Wow, that is special.
Yeah.
I guess we talk about the episode now.
Yep.
There's no slime creatures in it,
well,
or rats.
So we begin with just and now Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah.
Which we'll get from here on out with Novacom.
Yeah.
No time for intros. These things are too dang dense.
Yeah. Well, and it's pretty much all plot at this point. Like they're all plot development and I mean, this is a big episode for that. This is what there's 5 more episodes after this, 4 more episodes after
4 more after this.
After this one. So
yeah.
This is all just tying up, loose ends and we're building to a climax here.
Yeah. So this episode opens the way I think maybe half of all Adventures in Odyssey episodes open, which is music fades out and we hear the bell on the door at wit's end.
Yeah. Which I guess
I never thought about it until this time.
There's so
it's probably
many.
just a result of doing this show.
Yeah.
But it is like a constant.
Yes. The bell is very well, and I work at a place that has a bell like, on the door. So like that, I get that. Yeah. And it's definitely creates like the atmosphere, and it's obviously intentional, and you know all the psychology of it's like, well, if you hear this whole same thing, like you trick your brain into going in like as a trigger of entering into this other space. So,
yeah, for sure.
But oh my gosh, it's all the time.
Yeah, no, seriously, every single time.
Yeah, it's Connie and Whit at Whit's End.
Yeah,
and it's really so it's Connie coming into work, right? Pretty much. Or
yeah,
is it Whit coming in and Connie's at work.
No, I think it's Connie coming in because she's talking about the fact that she was just talking with Rachel.
Yeah. So Connie comes in and she's really like clearly very somber. She was just talking to Rachel, which is Mitch's sister.
Yeah.
Kind of just acknowledging the grieving process that she's been going through, which we haven't really heard about the past couple episodes, which is really real. Like, that is incredibly important, and I'm glad that, Focus on the Family is acknowledging it here as to what's happening.
The check-in that we get between Connie and Whit is just so good.
Yeah. And Whit seems genuinely very kind and, like, understanding. And Connie's real with him. Like, I want to, I see something funny and I want to tell Mitch about it. And then I remember that he's dead. And it's just like, oh, I've been there. It's rough.
Yeah. And so she mentions that Rachel has invited her to come visit in Maine.
Yeah.
To kind of get some closure.
Yeah.
And Whit's like super supportive and it's like, yeah, like that sounds good. Go do it. Of course, you can have time off, just like all the stuff. And then pretty much we cut to Mandy, Cal, and Alex. Yes.
Which is incredibly important.
Yeah. So we have Mandy talking about her Nova box.
Yeah. Powderpuff Pamela's Pythagorean Planet.
Yep.
Which is what? Okay. Teaching Trig and the Powderpuff Girls and an odd brand name drop once again.
Yeah, I don't think it's technically a name drop.
Because it's not the Powderpuff Girls.
Right. I think you can say Powderpuff without it being like a copyright thing.
Yeah. But it's like Dairy Dream kind of situation.
Right. It is Dairy Dream-esque. This is actually, we've had Mandy's brought up Powerpuff Pamela either before or after or both.
Yeah.
This is a established.
Yeah, it is.
Established thing.
No, it was at the Novacom Kids Center. They had like the virtual shopping, and then there was Powderpuff Pamela's Pythagorean Planet. There you go.
Pythagorean.
Good thing we had a pop filter. Yeah, so Mandy has a Nova box, and she's playing these games, and
she's like showing them off to Cal and Alex.
Yeah.
Making their classic return.
Yes. Which that's what they are in my notes for like
every
episode.
Because
Mandy, Cal, and Alex.
No, it's just Mandy and Calix every time. Yeah. Because we get so much, like, there was points earlier where they were separate, but they have been one entity for a while now.
Yeah.
So,
and I love their part of this like series so much. They're really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, some of my most memorable like moments with Novacom one in this episode and two with them specifically. So
yeah, and we basically so Sarah Pratchett is no longer on Odyssey anymore.
Okay.
Which is, I think, kind of why this is a Mandy episode.
Yeah.
Because Sarah had previously done most of the Cal and Alex interactions.
Yeah.
Even though Mandy was kind of along for the ride for a lot of that.
Yeah, they were like juxtaposed, kind of, the two friendships.
Mandy's discussing how great this Nova box has been and all the stuff she's been learning for it. They bring up the fact that Rodney did really well on a math test.
Yeah, he aced his last math exam.
And they're all like, he must have cheated. Which is just great.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And then the most plot convenient homework assignment of all times occurs, in which these students, middle schoolers, I assume, have need to do a study of buying trends.
Yeah.
During the same period where buying trends are really weird because of the Nova box.
Listen, I'm willing to accept it only because it brings us to the grocer, who is my favorite part of all of Novacom, and I will never change my opinion.
Oh man. Yeah. So they're talking about they open up Mandy's pantry and she's got
a bunch of birdhouses.
Well, no, I think she's just got one.
Oh, she's got one in there, and then she has a couple in the yard, right?
She already has one in the yard,
yeah.
And now she also has one in there, and then her mom comes home with another one, and they're all like, it was just a good deal.
Yeah, it was just a really great deal.
And,
classic.
Great, just that. Yeah, it is.
And,
So they then go to the grocer to talk about to do some research.
Wait a minute.
Before that, is there a thing?
We missed a line. Cal says you never know when you're gonna have a spare bird lying around. I thought that was worth noting. It was a funny bit.
That is good. I did not take note of that.
Yeah. And yes, then now they're at the grocery store.
Yep.
And we get, what is his name? Is it Mr. Jenkins?
It is Mr. Jenkins making a return appearance.
Yeah, he's so good.
Previously in episode 133.
A while back.
This is his first appearance since then, but he becomes a go-to going forward.
Yes.
He's in 4 more episodes after this, most notably Switch.
Really? That's right. Yeah.
The episode where Marvin and Tamika Washington get to become parents, and their parents are their kids, and they go to the grocery store, and he's completely baffled by it, and it's great.
Oh my gosh, yes. I completely forgot about that. That's so good.
But yeah.
I love Mr. Jenkins. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's
got such a good voice.
Yeah, he's see, Bob Hoose, he's one of the people who's on the production for Odyssey.
Yeah.
For all times, just kind of recurs as this
as Mr. Jenkins.
Yeah, this just weird, eccentric grocery store guy who is great. I love it so much.
So they're doing an assignment on buying trends, so they go to the grocer, and we have this great interaction with Mr. Jenkins, and he's talking about, he's like, funny you should ask. We've got all these people buying all these weird products, but 50 years I've been in this little grocery. It's really good. And he just goes that bit over and over again.
Yeah.
It's Fizzy Cola, and the first week it was Fizzy Cola, the next week it's Greasy Chips. You ever tasted Greasy Chips? I have this whole thing memorized. I love it so much. And then I don't say whatever happened to eating lettuce, but there it was. And then
then he talks about this week it being birdhouses.
This week it's birdhouses.
And then the iconic line of, if I could build birdhouses with Greasy Chips, I'd make a fortune.
I'm glad that you took note of that line as well.
It's important.
It's so good.
Are Greasy Chips and Fizzy Cola name brands?
I guess.
That's what's really iffy, because I guess they have to be name brands,
or
but
they're
it's
off store brand sorts situations. It'd be if you went in and bought everybody was just buying giant brand cola.
Right. But it's not. He's not saying that they're just buying a bunch of different sodas and a bunch of different chips, because that doesn't seem like it's much of a chain. It's a specific thing. So does Novacom just have an incredible amount of stock in those?
Yeah, yes. But somehow only in those flavors?
Right.
How do you trick buyers into buying only one kind of thing?
Also, as far as naming goes, if your brand is called Fizzy Cola, the fizzies imply that's a stupid name.
Yes.
But Greasy Chips is not an appeling brand name.
It just sounds like Greasy Chips.
I think it is Greasy Chips.
Yeah, Greasy Chips.
I don't...
And this week it's
I don't know. Also, does anybody... Oh, no, I guess So it's not just this guy calling them Greasley, because later when they're going door to door,
Greasley's not an adjective. Yeah.
Because it kind of seems like, but Greasley's the brand name.
Yeah. Of course.
So yeah. Charles just has a lot of stock in the Greasley Corporation.
He must, or maybe the board.
Yeah.
The infamous board.
Yeah. So they now decide. Calix, Mandy, the whole gang.
This is no longer just a homework assignment.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Mandy's still hung up on it being homework, and Cal is like, "There's now a mystery to solve."
Yeah,
which is just funny
and delightful, enjoyable.
Yeah, and
then we cut to the airport, right?
Yeah. So,
hold up.
Yeah.
So the transition is again with airport background noise, and it says "Welcome to Portsmouth Regional Airport."
Right.
Portsmouth or Portsmouth.
Yeah.
That's in New Hampshire.
Yes.
And Rachel opens up by saying "Welcome to Maine."
That is my note as well.
Yeah.
What? Granted, it's basically on the border.
Yes, it's very close.
It is essentially Maine. It makes sense that if you're flying to Maine, you fly into Portsmouth. However, Rachel saying "Welcome to Maine."
Why couldn't she have just flown into Portland?
Right. Well, that's the exact thing.
Before I knew that Portsmouth was a real place, I thought that it was trademarked, and that was their off-brand version of Portland.
You can't trademark cities.
I don't know,
but yeah, it's a weird choice for you could have just chosen an airport in Maine and then had her say "Welcome to Maine."
Yeah.
But because you in the background puts Portsmouth, then when she says "Welcome to Maine," it's like,
but she's not in Maine.
She's not in Maine yet.
Yeah. Well, why would you say that if she's not there?
And the other thing, I don't know. Portsmouth is also almost like a midway point between Maine and Boston, where Mitch spent a good amount of time in Boston.
Yes.
So I don't know if this is
intentional.
I don't know. It was just a weird thing.
Do we know what part of Maine Mitch is from?
No.
Presumably the southern border.
That would, because she flew into Portsmouth, I would assume the southern border.
Yeah.
If he's in the northern tip, then it's really dumb.
Yeah, and also you can't ride horses up there. It's just cold year round. That's not true, but it kind of is. Rachel
references her looking like her pictures and stuff that Mitch emailed her pictures weekly and whatever, and
it's really cute, and it's Connie and Mitch having a catch-up fight and stuff like that, and it's like, oh Connie, oh Mitch,
so they just have some
it's a really tender connection, and then it just kind of they leave, and it cuts back to Candy Calix and Mandy. Which just showing itself again to Candy.
The three of them are just Candy from now on. Yeah, that's gonna confuse.
I can't shorten it anymore than Calix and Mandy, but
I love it.
Candy. My brain just did it. Oh my gosh. Why you do?
So they're talking about they're gonna do this
door to door
research, and Alex is like, no computer hacking, breaking or entering, or even slightly bending the law on this one. And Mandy's just like, wait, what?
Yeah, she doesn't know.
No.
She doesn't know anything. She's fine.
No, but what's the breaking and entering? Is
that when they were trespassing in the red herring episode when they were in the wrong corridor?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
In the college. That would be the only thing.
Well, so I was like, is this a reference to when Cows definitely stole that Nova, the Nova cable modem before they were Nova boxes? Because he said
definitely did.
He absolutely did, but he just kind of hand waves it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good line. That's a really good line.
So they had this idea of, hey, everyone with a bird box in front of or a bird house, rather. Yes, not the bird box. Everyone with a bird.
If they're walking around with blindfolds, ask them what they bought recently.
Everyone who's got a bird house in front of their place, they're gonna ask and see,
what they've been buying recently and why.
Yeah, and the nice thing is they do have the legit excuse of being like, hey, this is a school project.
Yeah.
And so for a small town, 3 kids walking around asking
why you bought something.
Right, for a project for school about buying trends is like perfectly reasonable.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. And it's actually really well done, and they like the audio engineering's really good of them. They go up and they meet all these different people, asking them like why they bought this thing, and then they are all linked to other products. So like if they've got a birdhouse, like one of them bought Grizzly chips, one of them bought a bunch of Fizzy Cola, and then one of them was like, I don't know why I bought it, I'm allergic to birds.
Yeah. Can you be allergic to birds?
From inside your house? That's what? Does he live outside?
Yeah. This is just like a great chance for them to break out like weird voices.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They take
birds to think of it.
It's like the BTV pitch meeting where they were just like, let's just get like the most nonsense words for this throwaway scene.
Yeah.
And so they do it again here, and it's great.
It's really
like
good.
I love
Grizzly chips.
it's the playing into the kind of goofiness of this and the fact that you know it is like a very cartoony town.
Yeah, it is. And it's and it's very lighthearted. And also this man got an entire shipment of Grizzly chips.
Yeah.
Which is, oh my gosh, that's so many.
After he goes on this tangent about being on a fixed income, the guy's like, I've got pallets of Grizzly chips here for you.
Yeah,
which is
I'm presuming
hilarious.
he has a forklift.
Yeah. But it also is interesting because Jenkins previously said, like, specifically, like, one week it was this, the next week it was that, the week after it was this, but then all these people are like still actively purchasing the stuff, which I think is interesting.
Well, there was the one guy that like he had bought in a bunch of Fizzy Cola and was like, I don't actually like it, it tastes like used fish tank water. What a really good line.
Used fish tank water is so good.
I told you I have most of the chips in my eyes. It's shameful a little bit. I couldn't be like fitting, I don't know, valuable information in my brain. No. Instead, I have this entire dialogue memorized.
Yeah, exactly.
And then So but clearly there's some like remorse there, except for the one guy who just loves Grizzly chips and will buy incredible amounts of it.
Yeah.
And so then they run into Rodney on their walks about town, and he's walking around with his Novavox helmet on.
Yep.
And they're like, what are you doing with it? And he's like, well, I guess you've heard about my math test. And he's like, I know everything there is to know about everything.
Yeah. Oh, he's not just wandering around.
Yes.
They found him in Mandy's backyard.
Yes. With the birdhouse.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, I'm gonna fix it.
He has I cannot figure out how intentional this is, but it is 100% what the Grinch says.
What?
Where the Grinch is talking about stealing the tree because he found, because this one's broken and he's going to take it back and fix it.
Oh, yeah.
And Rodney here is like, I saw your birdhouse was leaning, so I'm going to take it back to my house and fix it.
Yep. Wow. What? Rodney is the Grinch of Odyssey. There we go. Now we know.
I mean, that kind of checks out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Weird voice and presumably, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably both very large fans of onions, and we'll be fine. I think the analogy works. All right. So they run into Rodney. He has a pile of birdhouses as well, which, okay, I wanted to ask you this because I didn't realize this until I listened through it this time. The birdhouses you're imagining, do they have sticks? Are they stick in the ground, or are they hung?
The birdhouses I'm imagining are wooden boxes that you would mount to a stick and stick that stick in the ground.
Yes.
Or mount to a tree if you hate trees.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad that that's what, because that's what I imagined too. I just imagined them on they're mounting on the stick in people's yards and stuff.
Yep.
Okay. What an odd thing, because I have never had a birdhouse that's like that. All of mine have been hanging.
Oh, weird. I've had many a birdhouse like that.
Really? Is there something you need to tell me?
Why?
I don't know. We're learning things about
people
that have birdhouses.
Oh, you think I also have a stash of Fizzy Cola and Grizzly chips?
I want to try Grizzly chips. They sound mad good.
So my only other real note about the Rodney thing is, so he's walking around wearing a Novavox helmet.
Yes. How can you do that? Not sure. Maybe it's like a visor situation where you can like flip it up and walk around and then flip it down. You're in like a VR situation.
But what's it connecting to? What's it running off of? Is this like fully self-contained VR headset?
Yeah, it might be not. Maybe that's like the joke of it, is that it's not plugged into anything, and he's just walking around with it on.
Yeah,
I mean, he makes it.
You might be right.
He's like, now I never take it off. Is kind of the situation we're getting here.
Yeah,
and then he's like, basically saying like, yeah, I've got all these bird boxes again. I got all these bird houses. And I'm gonna fix them for everybody, and it's not only made me smarter, it's made me a better citizen too. And his voice gets really high and nasally when he says "too." Better citizen too. And then and my note is Rodney's trying to get a Novavax sponsorship #ad, and then we cut to Rachel and Connie.
Yeah.
Which is a dramatic turn of events.
Yeah, they're driving back from the airport. Crossing the New Hampshire to Maine border,
which is a bridge. It's a very pretty bridge. I don't know if any of our the Wad Fam Chalk squad has driven to Maine, but it's gorgeous. There's a lot of ships that are built underneath the bridge. It's real cool.
Yeah,
there you go.
Cool.
Now you know. A weekly segment.
They pass Ken's Burger Den.
Yes, where he used to work.
Where Mitch used to work, and he served the county health inspector a raw
burger patty,
which is hilarious
and terrifying,
and got fired.
Yes,
and it's just really sweet between
Connie and Rachel kind of getting these backstories,
talking about it, and also courtesy of the Adventures in Odyssey Adventures in Odyssey, the official guide, which I now own.
Yes, of course, because why not?
Right, because absolutely. There's a note in here that mentions that Ken's Burger Den was the first job of Rob Jorgensen, who is the sound engineer.
Yeah.
For a lot of Odyssey. And so
interesting. So that's a real place.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's in Idaho.
Oh. Did you Google it?
No, it actually says it in the book. It's really great.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
But yeah, expect more fun trivia like this because
we have a book.
Yeah.
And by that I mean two.
That's true.
Yeah, and so they're just sharing these. Honestly, it's really sweet, and like I can't imagine how hard and awkward that could be, because like when you meet, like girlfriend's family or whatever, or boyfriend's family, you do kind of go through the whole like going through backstories, baby pictures, whatever.
Yeah. And even more so because he's
dead, and
so they're all so they're talking about him so fondly.
Yeah. And you get this really just, I mean,
oh yeah,
it's kind of a heart.
Yeah.
And she makes the was mistake.
Yes, which is double here.
Yes.
Because on one hand, that's a common mistake to make when you're like in this sort of a headspace. Dead. On the other hand, she knows full well that he's alive.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like slipping out of character almost.
Yeah.
But she doesn't pretend to not be sad about it. Yeah.
And they go visit Mitch's gravesite at this
point. Which is such a hard scene.
Oh, yeah. Rachel kind of walks away and leaves Connie to just like...
Which is really, like, there's a really good gravel sound, and, like, the sound engineering for the scene is really good. And Connie's just there, like, basically crying her eyes out into the grave and being like, we were going to do all these things. You were going to teach me how to whitewater raft. Yeah. We were going to teach the, 5th grade Sunday school?
Yeah.
5th grade Sunday school?
Didn't even get to say goodbye.
Yeah.
We never even had one last hug.
Yeah.
Because they can't kiss. They're not married. But
wow.
But they can hug.
They can definitely.
And so, yeah. And it's at this point
she ends with, "How could you just leave me? How could you leave me?" And she's like saying this mid tears.
Right. And Rachel walks back in.
And she asks if everything's okay.
Yeah.
And then Connie's like, no, I'm not okay. Like, I'm sad and I'm angry and I feel guilty because, like, I'm angry, and how can I be angry at a guy that was murdered? And you're just like, oh.
Yeah, and that reference, again, to him being murdered is just like, how has no one how has this murder investigation been going on for so long and nothing's
least like 2 weeks
turned
and we still
up?
don't
Like
know
it's
anything.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. And then obviously we get answers, but the and then Rachel takes Connie over to Justine's grave. Yeah. Which this is a kind of crazy reveal that Justine is dead. This is the one who had the ski picture on Mitch's fridge. She did not have the annoying smile.
No,
that Monica has the annoying smile, but they were both redheads.
Yeah. Mitch has a type.
Raspberry chestnut. and tennis.
And tennis.
And then Rachel decides to kind of launch into this. I think they're back at the house now at this point.
Yeah, so basically they talk about Rachel dying, and then Connie...
Justine dying.
I'm sorry, yeah. Rachel talks about Justine dying.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I need to catch you up on some things or whatever. And then so they come back to the house, and oddly, weirdly, I remember this, but they pour, like, I think she has peppermint tea, and they sit down and they're talking, and then she basically...
Not a peppermint lemonade?
No, not a peppermint lemonade.
So Rachel starts to fill Mitch in on Justine's backstory that wait, did I just say Rachel starts to fill Mitch in? Rachel starts to fill Connie in on Justine's backstory.
They both worked for Novacom
Galaxy
Enterprises, which was owned by Andromeda
and
Andromeda and Novacom.
And so Justine finds out is working as like a secretary, finds out information about Operation Think Tank, goes to the wrong people,
aka Bennett Charles.
Right. And then, hey, you got it right.
I know. I didn't say Ray Charles that time.
I love it. And then we have Rachel plays a voicemail,
which is terrifying. It's haunting. Oh my gosh.
My note is just that voicemail is haunting.
Yeah. Basically, she's on the road. She leaves a voicemail for Mitch because Mitch and Rachel are out at a movie, right? They're out. Yeah. They're out of the house or whatever. Again, the audio engineering is really good here because you could like totally imagine like whipping out an old like, whatever they're called. Oh my God.
Answering machine.
Machine. Yes. I'm so tired. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Answering machines, not particularly old at this point.
No, answering machines, yeah. But like you can tell,
2002, that's pretty good technology.
Yeah. They had, so she whips out this big answering machine and plays this message from years ago? Presumably like 3 at this point.
I don't know that it's
2 years.
I don't know that it's that long because it's. Mitch moves to Odyssey as soon as Novacom opens up a headquarters there. Yeah. And it sounds like that's not too long after this thing with Galaxy. Yeah. And we meet Mitch pretty soon after he moves to Odyssey. So, yeah, I mean, 2 years is probably it.
Yeah, it's probably within 2 years. Yeah. But yeah. And so so basically Justine was calling Mitch, telling him about the meeting with Bennett Charles, and then she's basically like, he got really weird about it, and then started like dodging the questions that I had.
And she's talking about there being a car behind her.
Yeah, and then there's a car behind her.
And she's like, oh, okay, great, it's passing. And then it runs her off the road.
And like, Mitch, they're running me off the road. And then it just goes static.
It goes dead, and Rachel's like, they, found her dead in her car.
Seat. Yeah.
And...
oh my gosh.
Yeah, she just, played Connie a clip of someone being murdered.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which, wow. Yeah. I mean, it really sets up how crazy things are. Yeah. But, oh boy.
This is the first murder in Novacom, presumably, that we've had. We've had torture. Has anybody been killed?
What?
Has anybody been killed?
Mitch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good point. And so then we have Yeah, so
she talks about Mitch going to Odyssey because of Novacom.
Yeah, working on the same team.
Novacom moved there because of a connection via a board member. That's the Armitage Shanks Eugene's thing.
Yeah, and the research that they were doing there.
Yep.
And then, so basically Mitch was playing on the same team as Novacom and then used Aram as a way to reveal what Novacom was doing illegally to kind of avenge Justine's death.
Right.
And then somehow it basically then translates onto Connie and like her being like, well, since he was only in there for like only in Odyssey for his job or whatever, and then Justine, Rachel is like, no, like he actually really liked you, like he wouldn't stop talking about you. And there's like some genuine feelings there, which is good.
They talk about the giddiness scale.
Yeah, the giddiness scale. On the giddiness scale, he was off the charts, of course.
On which side?
Yeah. Which is really endearing from Connie.
Yeah.
Kind of giving this like positive spin, and then we cut to Calix and Mandy.
Yep.
And they're at Wonderworld or at Mandy's house?
I think they're at Mandy's house.
Yeah.
They are definitely at Mandy's house because of they unplugged the Nova box.
Yes.
But they're kind of just basically just getting Mandy up to speed on everything, which is a good way of reminding the audience what all is happening.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Well, we learned like about Black Veil and everything. And then so the Nova box is what they're thinking, like kind of starting off jokingly, but also not a joke.
Right.
Is the Nova box made these people buy the stuff?
Right.
All these weird stuff.
Yeah.
And then they kind of make the connection to the Odenton bug, which made people upset, which we also already know about. And so they're like, well, we should just take this thing apart.
Right.
And so they...
Yeah, and I think their plan is to take it to Wit.
Yeah, their plan is to take it to Wit.
And so they talk about how, like, even when it's turned off, it's still running.
Yeah.
And then they unplug it.
Yeah.
And it's still running.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, they also... we kind of glossed over it, but when they were talking about the Black Veil box, the idea that there was a radio output as opposed to just an input thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Rachel.
Well, the only I want to get into the... I'll just hit it quickly. The device that works when it's unplugged is such frustrating.
Such an old bit.
Like it's cool. They make, I don't know. They use it in an okay way, but I was just overall just like,
you can't escape it.
Right. Like, whatever.
Well, and it's not something where it's like, you know that they have this giant tower that could be transmitting stuff. You don't really need that.
Yeah.
But whatever. Now I'm just imagining everybody running around with tinfoil hats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only way.
And
I'm sure that's what Dent would do.
Yeah, and that's what Wit wants.
Yeah. Okay. And then they cut back to
Rachel and Connie.
Yeah, Connie's walking up to Rachel's room to ask her what she should wear for dinner.
Yeah, because they're going out or something like that.
Yeah, and then
we hear an Aram sound.
It's back!
It's back! It's so good.
And then Connie kind of bursts into the room.
Like, whoa, that's like the Arab sound or whatever. Like, that's the Arab sound.
Someone, do you use that too?
Yeah.
And then she sees Aram's handle on the screen, and Rachel's like, well,
Rachel tries to cover
for a little bit, and then she's like, well, look, Mitch has been wanting me to tell you, so here we go. He's in witness protection. He's alive.
Yeah.
And that's
Mitch is alive.
Yeah, and then
end of episode.
That's what we end on.
That's it.
He should have created a new alias. He's so bad at this.
Yeah.
The fact that he uses the same sound and still says Aram is just such a bad move.
Yeah, well, and we'll get into it later, but there are some very weird, like, how does this messaging system work?
Oh yeah, well, that'll be next episode. But boy, do I have notes.
Yeah, I have questions. I have so many questions and so few answers.
But yeah,
so tune in next time.
So after all of this, everything, we find out that Robert Mitchell is alive
and is not dead. Mitch ain't dead.
Which then begs the question. What the hell is Charles doing, and why is he playing up as the most evil person?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
He literally He basically says, like, I killed Mitch at Mitch's funeral.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And then he references it when Borland and Wit come in in the previous episode to interrogate him. He's constantly talking about this. Shouldn't he be, like...
trying to deflect it just in case?
Trying to deflect it, but also, shouldn't he be concerned about it?
Yeah.
Because...
definitely should be at least a little concerned.
If he is the guy who is out to kill Mitch, and someone who's not him kills Mitch, he's got to be like... because everyone else could be like, oh, Bennett had the motives. But Bennett knows it wasn't him.
Yeah.
So who does he think it was? Why is he not freaked out about this?
It could be something where, like... do you know the movie Hercules? In the beginning of the movie, he sends... Hercules. Well, in the beginning of the movie, Hades sends his little minions to kill Hercules because there was, like, some sort of prophecy from the fates that Hercules was going to overthrow Hades.
Okay.
And so they send the minions to kill him as a baby, and they basically do everything except for, like, the equivalent of 1% of killing him, and then they report back to Hades, and they're like, oh, yeah, we killed him. He's dead as a doornail. But he, obviously, he's not actually dead, and that's the plot of the movie.
So
that's what I'm guessing. Somebody pretended to kill him.
Charles's minions just were like, oh, yeah, we totally killed Mitch.
Yeah.
And we
got him. Yeah.
That is my new headcanon. I like that a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Hercules, for that. that's what I'm guessing.
There's some guy who got a huge bonus because he was like, I killed Mitch.
I got it. I got it, boss. I got it.
And now he's dead. Yeah. Because Charles is
another bald man in a baseball cap and sunglasses.
When Charles finds out, that guy's just like, oh boy.
That also happens in Hercules.
Of course. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I do like your interpretation.
Yeah. It's overall thoughts for you?
This is
there's a lot.
Yeah. This episode is a lot and still is kind of a calm before the storm.
Yo, yeah. Cuz I mean all the whole bit with Mandy and Alex and Cal is really chill.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And you get like some really lighthearted moments with some really good production and
yeah.
I mean, this is one of my favorite like iconic episodes for me.
Absolutely.
A next episode as well.
Yeah. I like this. I like this show a lot.
This is like a part of like this is one of the main parts of what makes Novacom really special is when it's like all coming together at the end because there's how many albums of build up to get to these like last couple episodes and you're like, oh, this is how this is all working together and this is the Odenton bug coming back and this is, the fact that the whole Black Veil bit and,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much has happened.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. It's a good journey.
Absolutely.
And despite all the criticisms, it's very good.
Yeah.
I stand by my criticisms, though.
Yes.
And that's kind of the point of the show.
Right.
Exactly.
Is we were recognizing the good and acknowledging the bad and
from a distanced perspective of people that, aren't kids anymore.
Right. Have in some ways grown out of Odyssey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, super formative to us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
huge part of my life.
Just feel like, restating the show after
our thesis
25 episodes or whatever.
I mean, I feel like it's fine. I think well, with all the plot rounding and everything, I think it's worth it, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to promote this week or anything to say?
No, I think
Tell the sweet viewers listeners?
Yeah. Both. Shoot, why did I think that I had something weird to promote and now I can't think of it? All right. Yeah, I got nothing this week, folks. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing well. I'm ending my semester. I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram, but go ahead and do that if you like. At Andrew Acebo.
Wow, you got your own name. Must feel good.
Yeah, it feels wonderful, actually. Yeah. I feel so special. But anyway, I just threw up a graphic. I didn't actually post it. I just put it on my story about the Andrew Sable podcast guests that we're going to have this summer. I'm going to do like a season 2. I don't know if did I talk about this last time?
I think a little bit. Yeah, I think you got
well, I've got like
week,
the lists of a couple people. Dylan, you'll be on an episode.
Yeah.
One of my good friends from work, Brandon, and another good friend named Brandon will also be on one. My best friend Nathan and I are going to record one in Italy.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
you
a
guys
lot of
know
fun.
Nathan.
Yeah, you know Nathan. You know, from the Popsicle Kid, that one. Can we call Nathan the Popsicle Kid from now on? What a great nickname.
That was a pretty good nickname.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, and potentially more people being announced.
Yeah.
As
Oh
we
yeah.
go
Yeah. There's
forward.
more people to be announced. So I announced like 4-ish people. I think maybe 5. And the goal is to put out about 10 episodes, and they'll all be about an hour long each.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, we've got exciting stuff in the pipeline from Andrew.
Yeah, and also from you, but
yeah. Who knows what's happening with me? I've always got a million things going.
That's true.
So we'll see you next week
with exceptional circumstances. Correct?
Indeed. Bye, guys.
Bye.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Livets Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Episode 24, The Unraveling, was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sabo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.